Jeffrey Hank is an attorney and owner of Hank Law. He's on the other end of our AT&T line right this very second. We're going to talk about something else, of course. But have you ever seen a mother breastfeeding in court, Counselor?
No, I have not.
Would that bother you very much?
It wouldn't bother me at all.
I wouldn't think so.
Don't know enough about the situation, but that's really interesting.
Yeah, well, there are going to be 12 of them out there today, so that's what you get. When you mess with mothers, you're really taking your own, you're putting yourself in grave jeopardy because they won't answer back. And they'll get all the support they want and need because they shouldn't they? Really?
That's right.
So you got a victory, as I understand it, in East Lansing. What did East Lansing vote to do or not do on Tuesday?
Well, over 65% of voters voted to decriminalize small amounts of marijuana for adults. And why I think that's important is that's 2 out of 3 voters in an off election on a day with terrible weather where we barely spent any money to get anybody out to the polls, and we won in a landslide. So when the legislature is looking for a plan B, we have a plan B. It's popular. It's the last low-hanging fruit there is, and that's to tax and regulate marijuana.
So you're an attorney. What does that really mean to the people in East Lansing now? What can they do? What can't they do?
Well, what we've done is we've removed criminal penalties from the East Lansing City Code, and we've amended the charter so that the City Council cannot have civil or criminal penalties for up to 1 ounce of marijuana for adults 21 and over on private property, use, possess, or transfer marijuana, or the transportation thereof. So, if you're going from one place to another. So what we're hoping that means is that the East Lansing police won't be arresting or citing people for small amounts of marijuana anymore.
You say in private. Is that on your own property? You can't walk down MAC Street smoking a joint then, right? Or can you?
That's right. No, that's right. Private property. I mean, you can go from one place to another, but, you can't use on the streets, you can't use in parks or at schools or any public place like that.
Okay, and nowhere on MSU's campus, I take it.
That's correct.
Why do you think the voters of East Lansing, because mind you, it's not like the students all turned out. These are people who live in that town. Why do you think they decided to vote that way in such a strong fashion?
Well, it's a general public sentiment these days, and we've run about 17 or 18 of these campaigns, local activists across the state of Michigan. We're the only state in the country that has this kind of process and robust activist community. And so it's not surprising that we had 65%. I thought we'd be around the 70% mark. But I think you're right. Students did not turn out. But it didn't really matter what demographic it was. We think we actually did really well with the senior citizen demographic. So that's just the way the public feels about these issues these days. And the fact that with this special election, again, with bad weather and a low student turnout, we still did so well on this issue.
I guess the easiest way you would have been caught for this in the past is if you were pulled over for speeding or something and they found a bag in your car. Otherwise, how else would the police have discovered it in your own home?
Well, it's supposed to happen lots of ways, Michael. I mean, the police could show up for a call for anything. They could be walking by. We have police ride bikes in East Lansing. They could be driving by. They show up for some call and they smell you from next door.
I see.
So, there's lots of ways someone can have a police interaction. And what we're trying to do here is improve that interaction between law enforcement and the community. When you have a majority of people who do not want to see a law enforced in the first place, they don't even think it should be illegal, and then you have the police enforcing that law, that doesn't help police-community relations. So, what we want is the police and the community to be on the same page. Then you have people, the public, cooperating with the police, helping to solve real crime. And every minute that police officers are spending on, petty marijuana arrests that the majority of people don't want is a minute they're not spending on real crimes that make the community safer. So that was one of our goals, besides stopping arrests and citations of people. And you have to remember, a lot of these people are younger people. They are students. We do see this, young people getting arrested. They get a criminal record. It affects them trying to get a job. It could affect student loans. If they're a foreign student, which MSU has a huge population of, you could actually be deported for having a marijuana crime. So we're hoping to have a real-world effect here, besides also sending a symbolic message to the state legislature and the governor that, again, there is a plan B. And as we start discussing this after the downfall of Prop 1 the other day, this should be at the top of the agenda, because you don't have to take money from the schools or from anybody else. You don't have to raise any unpopular taxes. This, again, is the only way, the only big pot of money, no pun intended, if you will, that's out there that no one's going to object to.
I got a couple of questions for you if you can hold the line, Counselor. We'll be right back with Jeffrey Hank, who ran for Congress recently, too. Hank Law in East Lansing.